So I was okay. As I said, kita tunggu a few more minutes before for our friend to come in and join the meeting. Stop this attendance. I hope everyone. Then I will come back later on at the end of the class. I buka balik on your attendance punya ni registrations. So straight away we share with you chapter 1. We're still on chapter 1. Not here. Give me a few minutes. Oh man. Sorry guys, just give me a few minutes. Supposed to be chapter 1. Verse. You boleh nampak tak? Chapter 1. Can you see the slide?
Yes, doctor.
Yes, doctor.
Yes or no?
Yes, doctor. Can.
I can't hear you.
Yes,
No,
yes.
I
sikit.
see.
Boleh tak?
Hello.
Dengar suara you.
Boleh, boleh. Boleh
lah. Dapat
nampak,
nampak
doctor.
chapter 1 good.
Nampak.
Just now chapter 2. Okay, now chapter 1 kita continue. Ada few more slides. Not more than 5 slides if I'm wrong. Then kita akan sambung dengan chapter 2. If I'm not wrong, hari tu kita last meeting we were discussing moral reasoning, correct or not? Correct or not? We have done moral reasoning. Moral reasoning.
Yes, doctor. We are already
So
in
kita stop this and as I said, we're going to discuss on steps.
Yes,
Step.
correct.
Correct, nah?
Tapi
So
step 2.
okay, kita quite clear. I think you're quite clear what is the meaning of moral reasoning. Because when we face certain situations, right, we have to reason it out. Okay, whether that situation is ethical, the issue ethical or not, the ethical issue or not. Okay, that is moral reasoning. That's the first step. That's the first thing that kita akan jumpa. Then we try to find out whether the situation is ethical. It involves ethical situation or not, or ethical issue or not, right? So of course you might face what the action of individual or behavior, right? From that kind of behavior kita nak identify, we want to identify whether that action it involve moral standard or not. Similarly, the institution it mean of kita punya company, kita punya institutions lah, and corporations, or the policy that we have, right? Policy that they have, ada tak situation, the policy the kind of that, we can question the policy of the punya policy on the ethical issue, moral standard. Banyak kita tengok, especially in what we call policy of private sectors, right? The most important, the most very clear issue of policies of ni masa recruitment, especially in Malaysia lah. In Malaysia, we have a lot of issue during call for the recruitments. So this is the thing. So when we face this kind of situation, kita nak identify, is it there or not, ethical issue or not. So after that, we're done with that, then kita come up with this, how we going to identify the thing, how steps, how to identify. And of course, the end of our decision is we're going to make the decision and we have to take action on that. So we look first on the first step. What are we going to do about that? For step one, I said here, recognizing a situation is ethical situation, right? As I said, the first thing kita kena recognize that situation is ethical situation, right? That action, the thing that taken action, the thing that action be taken, kita nampak dah, that is actually an ethical issue. Macam pride lah, kita tahu, we know that that situation is ethical situation. That is the first thing. But macam like bride, there is common sense. You don't have to, you have to go through all the process. And step one, step two, you really can identify. You can already take action on that. Okay, what are you going to do with that situation? But here, if the situation is quite not very clear, right? It's not clear. There's an ambiguity on that. Then we can follow this step. We can follow this step. Only then, it will give a clear picture whether that is a ethical situation. And the final part is how you're going to take action on that. Kita nak buat apa keputusan? What is your judgment and what is your action on that kind of situation, right? Okay, the first step is that recognizing the situation is ethical situation. Okay. I'll give one example, right? For example, okay, here kita tahu, we recognize that, right? Universally, people recognize that, contohnya, for example, okay, whether we can refer that is the universal practices or not. For example, accepting gift, right? Accepting gift. As I mentioned you earlier, right? In US, accepting gift during working time is totally no. It is totally wrong, right? But here we are not. For example, we have the different view on that, right? We have a different view on that because we can accept gift during certain period of time, during festival, that kind of thing. Hari Raya, Chinese New Year, Deepavali, and other times that we can. That is our culture, and we can accept that. What happened in Malaysia, right? While you're working, someone give you a gift. Maybe that they know that that is your birthday. They give you outside the period that we mentioned just now, right? So how are we going to do that? Right? So now you have a situation. Accepting gift, you want to accept or not? Knowing that accepting gift during the festival time, traditionally, yes, it will be accepted, right? Normally, we accept that. It is nothing wrong with that. The situation is not ethical situation. But now, someone give you the gift during and while you're working, in office, and outside of that mentioned period just now. So, apa yang you kita buat? What can you do? Okay, these are a few steps that you can take. The first thing yang kita sini, you might think that, oh come on, this might be issue of ethical issue, right? Because kita we know that accepting the gift on certain period of time, we cannot allow that. It's again what we call is a moral issue. So now you're accepting that the time that you receive the gift is during time working hours, during time working times, and you are not sure, very clear, whether there is involving the what we call moral or not, moral issue or not, or ethical issue or not. So they say here, the first thing you can do is require framing as is one that require ethical reasoning. First, the thing you have to frame, right? The frame meaning that frame the issue. Frame the issue. Like kita frame gambar, kita foto lah. Meaning that framing the thing so that it must easier for us to focus on that issue. Now, as they give during working hours, outside the what mentioned period, that kind of thing, traditional way or traditional festival, that kind of thing, now is outside of that. So whether that is ethical issue or not, okay, you frame the thing, okay, as a thing give. That's the first step you do, right? Situation is likely to be seen as ethical when it involves serious harm, right? Serious harm. So maybe the what kind of gift yang you dapat kata ya, that you receive from your friend, from whatever, you know, maybe the gift that you receive is from one your customer, from your customer. So now the issue of it give a harm, what kind of harm, significant harm or not, or injury. This is the thing that we have to look into, right? Then the next step is, okay, when we frame the thing, there are things that might influence our judgment. In step one, where they call it obstacles in recognizing a situation. Obstacle meaning a barrier, right? Something is will what we call give some kind of not a comfortable ideas how we on our judgment later on, right? So here they call it obstacle to recognizing the situation. We already, as mentioned just now, we already identified that situation. Give, right? Give during working hours, right? And it might involve significant harm, injury, for example. Okay. Now, here it might your decision now might be influenced also on what so-called obstacle to recognizing that situation. Kita dah nak ni, then kita nak quite sure whether that is a ethical situation or not, because there are things that might influence kita. The thing that influence kita, all these things lah. One of that, they call it obstacle to recognizing situation. Is one of that, you call it euphemistic labeling. Euphemistic labeling. If you look in your books, what is the meaning of euphemistic labeling? So I will give you one example. Similarly in your book, so you baca buku, you read from the book, I think you will be more understand what is the meaning of euphemistic labeling. Okay. Dalam buku dia cerita, tell us about a case study during the Gulf War. During Gulf War, I think everybody know Gulf War is between two groups of army. One is, of course, the Iraqi army. At the time of Saddam Hussein, they tried to overthrow Saddam Hussein, so-called evil regimes. And another party is, of course, consists of those American army, NATO, and few of Arab countries. Right? They form elites. Elites meaning that a gang, and the simple word is a gang. Gangs. One side is this group of people, and the other side is Iraqis peoples. And of course, when we are talking about war, meaning that action been taken, right? This party will destroy this party, another, and this party will destroy this party, right? During this Gulf War, every day there are press statement, right? Every day, the press statement come from these allied groups, and from America, from the British, from Europe, and from NATO, from few these smart people ask few Arab countries to join them to overthrow the Saddam Hussein, the regime of Saddam Hussein, meaning the Iraq. So every day, when we talk about war, right? Every day they send planes and sorties. We call it sorties. Plane every day sent to few areas that been identified as what we call as army punya situations lah. There are soldiers on there, that kind of thing. For them, there is the mission is to destroy this what we call this identified location, right? Maybe the where there's the army punya weapon, that kind of thing, of course, the target is definitely to what we call specifically to the army of Iraq, right? But every day they send these bombers to bomb these places, and of course, this what we call Iraqis punya what we call deport, that kind of thing. Their um, where they put their weapon, that kind of thing, very close to the civilians, right? So what happened? Every day they send this the place, go and bomb, that kind of thing. At the end of the day, we know that we generally when we talk about war, is the definition of war itself is unethical, very morally wrong. But justification on that, just now kita dah cakap tentang reasoning. When you reason the thing, why you have to go for war? So the war is actually talking about good guy versus the bad guy. Now people identify the Arabs and these Iraqs and this Saddam Hussein punya regime as the evil. So they are good guys, these are wrong guys. So we have the justification of go to war, like what having right now, man. You have got a war between Russia and Ukraine. So Russia have justification that Ukraine is a bad guy. All right. So Ukraine also have that idea that Russia is the bad guy. So they go for war. All right. All right. Apa? So you tengok example yang you have in your book talking about Gulf War. So every day they send this this plane, and they fly 30,000 feet and drop the bomb. And definitely, okay. So after each mission, they will release a press statement. One of these press statements selalunya dia keluar kata ini, it comes with labeling, euphemistic labeling, right? Okay, our mission today, we have 4 missions, bombing the area, and in the morning, afternoon, evening, at night time, we have very successful mission, and we're able to destroy this here and there, But unfortunately, okay, the press person said, unfortunately, we have a collateral damage, and it caused a collateral damage. You use the word collateral damage. The word collateral damage actually, it means this. It means of euphemistic labeling. The only thing is, kita dah tahu tadi how kita nak identify their mission tadi ethically right or ethically wrong. But now we said, okay, right because they go against the evil guy. It's right. They have a reason why they go against the what we call the evil guy. We go here refer to Saddam Hussein regime, right? So for them, that is morally right. So killing the army, the Iraqi army, destroy properties of, the army property, that kind of thing is ethical right. So the press statement telling all over the world, telling that their mission is okay, except unfortunately it caused a collateral damage. For us, a normal people, when we heard collateral damage, meaning that okay, it's not much harm, and even though the word damage means there is harm on that, right? What we thought is okay, maybe they hit the building here and there, But actually, the meaning of collateral damage refer to, unfortunately, after they bomb the area, hundreds of thousands of innocent people been killed. Women, old guys, children been killed by this, mission. So all over the world, all during that period of time, during Gulf War, thousands of these innocent been killed because of these bombings. The mission of this mission of bombing the places over the Iraq. So they use the word euphemistic labeling. Collateral damage for us, maybe we are not sure what it means. They don't define exactly what is collateral damage is all about. What actually, when we go and search the thing, the meaning of it, then we know that the injury is huge, right? The harm is huge. They are not only kill the army, and the soldiers or combatants, they also kill non-combatant, women, children, old guys, and old people. So this is the thing. When we face the kind of situation of this, what you call obstacle, we are not sure whether there is ethical issue or not, or for me, because now, they are talking about killing, going for the bad guy. For us, it's okay. War is something you go for for again the bad guy. It's okay. Right now, this is what we are doing. Right. We are going right now, right, in within the Russia and Ukraine. The whole world, right, been project as Russia as a evil. The whole world, and this is how the media play the events, right? Everything what is Russia as a part as an evil party. If you look any news, from the what we call influential media, CNN, BBC, all that kind of thing, everything, in this other part in Europe, everybody will look that Russia is an evil party. So this is the thing. Okay, I will give another example. Justifying our action. Justifying our action. Okay, you take the action because you can come up with your reason. So those bombers, suicide bombers, they go and kill, because they come with this reason. Eh? The suicide bombers, when they go and bombs, because their target is of course the army, the same thing. Okay, they are not going for the civilians, but everybody know when they go and target but definitely there are some civilians will get killed. So, but just justification of doing the action, unethical action because of justify of the action. They justify of the action. Displacement of responsibility is where you put the blame to somebody else. This right? You put it's not me who do that. It's not me who do that. Okay, this is what we call displacement of responsibility. There are other things lah. Diffusion of responsibility meaning that you mean it the action, the situation is minimum. The damage on the minimum. You diffuse that situation. Right. Yeah, the issue is what we call ethical issue, but is the harm only minimum. Here we call it diffusion the situation. Okay, you can read this one, and there are examples in the book. That's why the book is very important. What giving your example, the example of the cup what is actually in the book, right? So in the book. So that the first step. Okay, step one. Step two is judging the ethical cost of action. Judging. You try to come up with you want to charge. You charge that situation. Okay. Again, it require moral reasoning. Come back to the moral reasoning just that we discussed just now. Okay. Require reasoning the information about what situation, the kind of thing. So step two, where you start to try to judge the situation. Right? You try to come up with the reasoning why that situation needs to do to be identified, and on the moral standard, whether it's a moral standard or non-moral standard. So you make the judgment on that. Second part, on second step. The third step, you can say, deciding to do the ethical course of action. Okay, deciding to do the ethical course of action. Now, the third step is you already identified. Okay, you come up with a reason that there are an issue of ethical issue on that. Okay, so deciding to do what is ethical can be influenced by the culture of organization. Okay, people decision to do what is ethical are greatly influenced by their surrounding. Go back to our example just now. Okay, go back to our example just now. In our accepting gift just now, it's okay to accept gift only during these kind of periods, right? This is our culture, right? We can accept gift during this kind of period, on Hari Raya, Christmas, that kind of thing, right? But it will be a question if you accept gift outside of this period. So kita, if we look into the culture, then if you receive the gift during that time or period, meaning that it's ethically right. It's non-issue, non-ethical issue, right? If you receive that, okay. But now my question is, you receive or I receive the gift during outside of that period, outside the period. What more? The one who give me is maybe one of my clients, and one of your customer, and an important customer. So this is we have to look into. That's why I said influenced by our surrounding. Culture will play a major part, quite significant on our culture, way of our values, how we believe on certain action based on our culture. Moral seduction, this is another thing that might influence our decision. What you mean of moral seduction? All right, moral seduction is something that it's a pulling factor, a pulling factor that you might commit, you might commit to that unethical behavior because a pressure from from somebody else. Especially bila kita kerja, especially I said when you work, we work now very much as a team, not much kerja yang kita buat as an individual. What more you are working with a enforcement agency. That's why we have a lot of problem, right? A lot of problem for this agency, enforcement agency, because they might fall under this moral seduction. Come from this what words moral seduction. They influence you. What influence you is your teammate, for example, right? Knowing you know that the action is wrong, right? And setting bright is wrong during setting bright is wrong, but it might seduce you of committing that crimes. And paksa kita, membuat kita tahu that is corruption. It's wrong, very unethical. But still, you're working with a team as a team. So to just ignore the thing is quite difficult. So you might commit, even though you say here, they said, what is she know is wrong. And kita tahu that is wrong. But because some pulling factors that might influence you to commit. For example, kita kerja, especially sales guys, right? You're working as sales persons. You might commit unethical behavior because of moral seduction. It's a pressure from your boss, right? Meeting the target, the quota, that kind of thing. So the word is you do, you must meet the quota, right? Cara apa pun. It doesn't mean the end justify the mean. Doesn't end justify the mean. Meaning that you can do anything as long that you bring your quota, bring the target that required by your company. This seduction. Yeah. You know cheating. Of course, one of that is cheating, right? Cheating is wrong, very unethical. But because of seduction, the pulling factor that made you do that because of the pressure, because of maybe as a teammate or even your boss, your policy of the company, that kind of thing might influence you. So we call it moral seduction. Okay, that is the last third steps. Okay, the last step here, carrying out the ethical decision. Here you come up with your decision. You want to, like example I give to you just now, you want to accept the gift or not? You want to accept the gift or not? So you make the decision. So this is what, okay. Factors that influence whether a person carry out their ethical decision include one's strength or weaknesses of will, one belief about the locus control of one action. Everybody know, right? The situation depend on us, right? Even though we know, we know that it's a thing gift, we know that accepting money, whatever, it's a bribe, right? It's corruption. We know it's wrong. So it go back to you. What is the pulling factor or the push factor of you committing that action? Okay, what are the pull factors that push you to take that action? it might be tadi lah one of these two. One of that is the strength of your strength or the weakness of your will. People who have, you know, really strong on their belief and who commit on their values and hold their values, meaning that they have the strength of rejecting all this kind of, they won't go for, they won't commit all this what we call unethical behavior or action. Or the second one is it, if you're weak, you know it's wrong, you will take that one. Okay. One belief about the locus of control or one action and how we believe on that. Okay. Every one of us, we have what we call a characteristic, what we call it locus of a trait. A trait is one of trait in as a person. You, me, we have all this trait. We call it locus of control. Okay, locus of as this will influence our personality, our behavior. Okay, locus of control is will influence our behavior. Okay, and locus, there are two types of locus of control. For those who are taking OB before, they know about this locus of control. There are two types. One we call it internal locus of control. The other one external locus of control. Internal of control meaning that is within our control. They will call it internal locus of control, within our control. Our action within our control. You cannot, deny your action. You don't know that. If you believe that if you have high locus of control, meaning that everything is under your control. Another one you call external locus of control, meaning that is the factor influenced by the external factors, right? The action that you taken by influenced by external factors, not internal. People who have high on internal locus of control, meaning that they have a strong will, and they have strong will. People have very much we say that their justification based on external factors. They are mostly exposed to the what we call the crime of it. They have low will. Okay, everything because you commit the time you blame somebody. Okay, people who have external local control, they start to easily for them to blame somebody else of their action. But people who have high on internal local control believe that whatever action, it is in me. It's me. I have the control there. If you take that action unethical, your behavior unethical, you won't blame somebody else because you believe it within your control. But those people who are high on external, they start to blame somebody else. Right? It's my boss pressure, that kind of thing, because you have high on external, low on internal. Opposite of that, if you have high on internal, low external, you will be the guy who, will not, if you commit the crime, you will blame somebody else. And you will accept that is your fault. That is you made that decision. That is the difference. Okay, so at the end, you have to make decision depend on you. It very much depend on you, right? Okay, so we are done with this, and I think we have two more slides before we go to the chapter 2. Moral responsibility, right? Kita punya tanggungjawab tentang moral. Dia kata here, 3 component of moral responsibility. Okay. To identify on moral responsibility, there are 3 component that we have to look. The first one is said here, person cause. Okay, they call it causality. Okay. What is causality is about? Person cause or have caused the injury. Meaning that if you commit the crime, you commit immoral behavior, right? You the one, you cause that, or you have someone to cause that. So, or fail to prevent when he or she could and should have caused, right? This is you are responsible for that action, and that moral issue, you are responsible with that because you are the one. The first thing that you are the one who commit that. The second one, you can stop that, and that unethical behavior, you can stop that. You can, you can stop, you can prevent that from happening. So that if that the case, you bertanggungjawab on that moral issue. The second one is that person did so knowing about he or she or doing. So you have the knowledge, and you are not jahil. In bahasa because it's not. You have the knowledge that committing that one, that action is wrong, you have a clear knowledge on that, right? Unless and you are not sure, right? For example, certain action, it might be some ambiguity. You're not clear of that. That is, you might not really 100% responsible for the action because you are not clear. What kind of action that is it ethical action? Ethically, it's wrong or not? You don't have very clear knowledge. You don't have very much knowledge on that. For example, kita tak ada lah yang saya cakap itu kalau maybe conflict of interest. You don't know. If I think the word conflict of interest might so some alien to you, right? Some of you lah. Maybe it's alien. This is the first time you dengar conflict of interest. So when your action that involve conflict, you is not to your knowledge because your lack of that. You are not very sure what is actually that conflict of interest. When people say this conflict is wrong, oh, I'm not. I don't know. I'm not. It's I thought it's okay. That is we call it. You have lack of knowledge. So you punya tanggungjawab meaning that kurang lah. So you have your responsibility is we can say is not that fully responsible for the action. The third one is called it person did so on his or her own free. Meaning you have the freedom. Nobody ask you, nobody stop you of doing that. You are free when you commit the thing. Commit the thing is will your full knowledge. Nobody prevent you, and you have a total freedom. So if you have this kind of situation, meaning that you're fully responsible for your action on morals tadi lah, moral issue tadi. So to have tiga ni, maknanya you have fully responsible for that action. All right. And the last slide is talking about factor that mitigate. Mitigate meaning that lessen your responsibility and lessen your what we call your responsibility. One of that is minimum contribution. Yeah, is committing the thing. The action that taken place is your contribution is minimum, right? Yeah, we can consider that your responsibility is not that severe, not that huge. That's the minimum. What we call moral responsibility is very low, right? Because your contribution only minimum. Okay, maybe you are the last person who can stop that one. The last, only then something is not right. So you can claim that your contribution to that injury is minimum. Uncertainty, you are not clear whether that action it involve ethical issue or not. Uncertainty, you're not very clear. So might give you some kind of less responsibility for your action. As I mentioned just now, for example, maybe you take the action and of course, clearly it involves on conflict interest, but you are not sure. And you are not you don't have knowledge on that. You are not certain on that. People have to tell you, no, your action just now is wrong because it involves conflict of interest. You don't even know what is the meaning of conflict of interest. And then you are not certain. So meaning that it can mitigate your responsibility. Dia kurangkan kita punya tanggungjawab. Meaning kurang tanggungjawab mana kuranglah kesalahan kita. That's why all these things to take place, the clear everything. That's why some of the things have to go to the court. The judge will make the judgment. Whether you meet all those mitigates responsibility, or just we mentioned on previous slide talking about you take full responsibility for your action. So just will look into all this what we call this issue, this gray area, right? Before they come with the verdicts. Difficulty, a person may find it difficult to avoid a certain course of action, right? For example, you take bribe because you have to, right? Someone threaten your family, right? You don't take this money and follow our instruction, or if you don't do this, right? Maybe you're not maybe not in the form of corruption. Maybe passing the information. Okay, the bankers, your managers. Okay, this group needs certain information. When is this money coming? Or where is a big what we call the big money, they transfer the money to the bank. They have the schedule. They want that schedule. So they want that information. And if they threaten you, right? It threaten you. Okay, if you don't give us the information, we're going to harm your family. This is what we call difficulty of you, right? Of not to commit that thing. Your commit to do that wrong thing, the ethical thing, is because the pressure just now. And this is where we use the word difficulty. So as I mentioned just now, to come up with the verdicts of whether you are totally who responsible for that action is depend on certain factors lah. Here it depend on three, and here also it depend on the three factors that might mitigate and slide 24 that show that you are have to take all the full responsibility of your action when you meet all these criteria. Okay, now we done with chapter 1. Kita habislah. So chapter 1 very much telling you some rough idea what is the ethics is all about. Rough idea what is ethics is about. And okay, we start dengan definition, that kind of thing, very much on the surface. What is this subject is all about? Okay, the chapter 2 is very much only then. Okay, we stop this one. We continue with chapter 2. Mm-hmm. Okay, I missed that one. Okay, sorry. All right, nampak tak? Can you see the chapter 2 slide? Boleh nampak tak?
Yes, doctor, can see.
Can see, yeah? All right, good. Okay, chapter 2, this is the one. We're going to talk about the principle I mentioned earlier, right? We have 4 main principle in our subject matters. Right? These main. Beside that, we have other concept theory, right? Supporting theory or supporting concept. But this is the main one. This is the main concept. So we have 4 of that. As I mentioned, that the first one, this is the one, right? This is the first one. Concept of utilitarian approach or utilitarianism. This is a concept, this is a theory, right? So what is this story is all about? Okay. Utilitarianism approach is quite, I will say that a quite a significant concept that apply in the clearly, right, that will explain to us what this approach, engineering approach is all about, or this theory is all about. Kalau you baca, siapa yang ada buku, buka sekarang. As I mentioned, one of case study given a very good example, good case study. One is Caltech, the issue of Caltech, that based their business in South Africa. And I think one case study is about Ford company that produce new models, compact models, right? Di Amerika, kalau compact model is a new actually. Zaman dulu, at the time, all the time, very only recently, we can say, walaupun it's 20 years back, 30 years back, they only produce what we call compact car. American is already premiums. They do produce the compact car. The first who produce car definitely the Japanese, right? Japanese who produce the compact car. So then an issue on that. We put aside that one first. We first look into the issue of Caltech. As I mentioned just now, Caltech is an oil and gas company, set the business in South Africa. And I think, Africa and on the recently, right? South Africa, their government is ruled by whom? Before that, okay, after Second World War, 1948, after Second War, okay, Second War end in 1945. Okay, from 1948, who actually held the dominance in South Africa, dominant control of South Africa? Siapa dia? This group, this talking about population, right? This is minority. This group is minority, and actually, who have a dominant the running of South Africa? In other words, the government. Siapa control government at the time? From 98 until now, until recently, in 1990s, only then, right, that is transferred to another group. Actually, as I mentioned just now, who control the government in South Africa? Guys, jangan tak takut. Siapa yang dominant at that time? Dominate in the sense of power, not dominate in the sense of numbers, power. Siapa yang control South Africa at that time? After Second World War until 1990s, siapa control? Who control South Africa? Okay, Abdul Rahman said is the white. Are you agree? Anyone you agree with our friend just now? I said the white that control South Africa. Are you agree? Any? Yes. Correct. Any? Okay. Fine. Okay, the answer is correct. Okay. The white, they are minority in the sense of population. They are minority. Actually, South Africa, in fact, the whole Africa is the black, the majority. The minority is, the white minority, the colored. Actually, Africa is another minority that significant is the Indians. A lot of Indians in Africa, especially in South Africa, they are minority. But here we're talking who control the South Africa, who manage the country, who govern South Africa is the white. And these people, the white people, of course, most of them, the British, right? They are British. They was there, and before Second World War, they own everything almost. They have the big plantation, the black only the workers or the slave, that kind of thing. So they control in economy sense. They totally control Africa. In South Africa, they are really control of everything, especially the economy. So the black be suppressed, the colored be suppressed by these people, and the government be identified as petite, petite government. A petite is meant evil government. Okay, so and Caltech have been doing business, and of course, when you do business, it's very successful business in South Africa, and of course, you have to pay tax to the government, and the money that the government, significant, I mean, big amount of money that contributes by this Caltech, this Caltech, big amount of money to the African government, okay, the white government, or easy, the petty government, and this they are cruel, very evil. So